You, me, and pretty much everybody else you know is working hard every day to make money, so one day you've got enough that you can put your money to work for you. But here's the problem. Most people don't know how much they're gonna need and when they're going to be able to cash into those chips. We have developed a program called Retirement Essentials. My name is Matt Francina, one of the co-founders at Policy Engineer, and I wanna invite you to participate in our Retirement Essentials program, where you get an opportunity to meet one-on-one with a licensed professional to dig into your situation and learn more about which of the 8 most common retirement risks you're susceptible to and how to strategize to be prepared for them. I'm gonna go through these 8 risks and give you a quick summary so you can have a better idea of what this conversation is gonna look like. The first risk on the list is longevity risk. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Matt, why is living too long a risk? That's something, we all want a long, healthy life. The risk is in you living longer than you planned for. Did you know that if you're 65 years old today, you run a 1 in 20 chance of living to be over 100? But if you only had a retirement plan of you living until 90, that's 10 years less than what you needed. Everybody would probably love to be 100 and healthy, but not broke. So make sure you have a plan to get there. Inflation risk. Did you know that at 4% inflation, your cost of living will double every 18 years? This is a big risk because many people start their retirement planning assuming how much they're going to need at retirement, and they don't account for inflation and them having to take more and more every year from the accounts that they've built up. So you've got to assess that differently, making inflation risk a huge factor when planning. Sequence of returns risk. This is the risk related to the order in which you gain or lose money in your portfolio. And there's a significant variable when you start to draw down. Let's just say, for instance, there's a sharp downturn in the market and your retirement assets are now down 25%. Now, you are also drawing 4% income to pay yourself and supplement your Social Security. Well, that means you've drawn 29% down between losses and income. That would mean that you need to make 40% the next year just to get back to even. Well, it's unlikely for that to happen. So when you're drawing money down and have a major market downturn in the early years of retirement, it could cause you to go into a tailspin that you can never recover from. Hence why sequence of returns risk is a huge susceptibility for many people, and you've got to have a strategy to combat it. Social Security risk. You might be asking yourself, how is Social Security a risk? Well, that really depends on how close you are to drawing from it. But Social Security has a penalty if you draw it too early, and they have what are called deferral credits if you postpone it after your full retirement age. So the risk is, do you get the most out of the system that you could have? And based on age, longevity, and how much you're making at the time of pulling, there's sort of a formula of when it makes the most sense to draw from. There's all kinds of reports that can be provided to help you make comparisons, but before you pick the date you're gonna draw Social Security, you should get a side-by-side comparison so you can make an informed decision when it truly is best to take Social Security. Healthcare risk. Healthcare comes at a cost. Now, you might not think so, but no matter how healthy you try to be, there's always the risk that something could happen, and when you have an injury or a sickness, there's a cost that comes along with it. Now, there's also a cost related to a healthcare that's uncommonly talked about, and it's not covered by any health insurance. That's the cost of caregiving one day. So whether it be from a disability, an injury, or a disease, all of us face this heavy, expensive risk towards the end of our life, which statistically is the #1 reason that seniors run out of money. So it's extremely important that you plan for the health risks you're most susceptible to. Withdrawal rate risk. Now, this is the risk of you taking out too much money too quickly from your account. It's been said that very common people go through 3 phases in retirement: the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. In the earlier years, you're go, 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 and you spend a lot of money to do a lot of things you've been waiting to do until you had the time to do it. Then you get the bucket list stuff done with and you go to the slow go years. You're still doing some things, you're spending a little more money, but not quite what you were when you first hit retirement. And then the no-go years are typically towards the end of life when you've slowed down and maybe you're really happier with the simpler things in life and you're spending a lot less. But it's important that you assess these phases and the speed you're going to draw from. We do it through simulation to give people an idea of how much they really can draw and how quickly they can do it. If you don't know, I highly recommend you put it to the test. Taxation risk. I've never met anyone yet who wanted to pay more in taxes. We all may pay our fair share, but everybody's looking for a way to keep as much of the hard-earned money that they made as possible, either to themselves or to their loved ones when they pass it on. So taxation risk can be mitigated in two stages of life. One is when you're accumulating money. Are you putting money in the right type of accounts? You have tax-deferred, tax-free, and taxable accounts. Each of them have their pros and cons. Depending on your end goal will determine which one of these lanes you should have the majority of your money in. Then on the other side is the distribution. You might be at retirement with piles of money you've built up in different styles of accounts. It's important that you draw from them at the right quantities so you don't overtax yourself when you don't have to. Legacy risk. This is the risk that has more to do with the loved ones you leave behind than even yourself. Look, one day we're all going to be gone from this earth and we're going to leave loved ones here. The question when it comes to legacy risk is, are you prepared in a way that when you're no longer here, the family members and loved ones who rely on you are continued to be taken care of the way you took care of them? And if you don't have any dependents like that, you've got people you care about that you want to leave things to. Will they be receiving what you leave them in the most tax-friendly way and avoiding the different systems like probate and estate taxes? These are questions you've got to ask, and it's important that you understand the tax codes and the processes of leaving money so that when you pass on, those you love are well prepared, and the only thing they're dealing with is mourning your loss, not mourning the money that they used to have that took care of them. If you've come this far, then you know you probably want more, right? Book your meeting as soon as you can. Meet with one of our financial professionals to start digging in deep and figuring out how you can build a strategy to protect you from any of these 8 risks you might be susceptible to.